Stop scrolling for just a minute. Today I want to share with you the secret exercise that you should do every single day to save your back, hips, and knees from horror. Okay, here's the problem. In our society, because of the way we go through our day, we are setting ourselves up for back, hip, and knee degeneration, arthritis, pain, and ultimately, unfortunately for a lot of people, the need for joint replacement surgery in the hip and the knee, or usually fusion in the back. Now, ultimately, probably the biggest cause for this is the fact that we sit too much. I see people, whenever I do an intake form on somebody, I ask how many hours a day they sit. I'll see 8, 10, 12, 14, and I think some people aren't even counting whenever they go home, how much they sit and watch TV or eat dinner or whatever they're doing. So what ends up happening is when you sit too much is that the joints, especially in your low back, hips, and knees, become stiff, weak, and brittle. This leads to arthritis, and then ultimately, if this progresses far enough, you end up having to have a joint replacement, which has its own issues. The good news is that there's things that you can do to prevent it, but you have to do them early in the process. You can't wait until the joint is destroyed before you start doing this. And so today I want to share with you what I think is the secret exercise to protect your low back, your hips, and your knees. And that secret exercise is the squat. Performed correctly, the squat takes your hip, your knee, and your ankle all through a full range of motion. It strengthens the muscles in the hips, the legs, the back. It improves the circulation coming up from the lower extremities, and it builds muscle mass. Now, let's go over the correct form of the proper way to do a squat. So the first thing you want to do is set your feet. You want to set your feet about shoulder width apart, and you're going to turn your toes out about 30 degrees. This will kind of open the hips up and really allow you to get a good depth to your squat. And then here's where people mess this up first. The first movement, so you're standing up straight, the first movement is your hips go back like this. Literally as far back as they can go. Once they're about as far back as they can go, you start to bend your knees and you go down. And you want to go down far. And then you're just going to reverse that motion and come up. So I'll show you from the front. Toes out about 30 degrees. Hips about shoulder width apart. Hips go back. Then you drop down. Then you come back up. Now, you might tend to lose your balance going backwards, so you can bring your arms up like this, right? So you go back, down, up. So that's the proper squat. So let me talk about some faults I see in people's squatting patterns. The first thing is that the knees go forward. So everybody's told when you squat, or whenever you bend down to pick something up, your back should remain straight, right? Which is a true statement. But it doesn't necessarily have to remain straight up and down. In fact, it can't possibly remain straight up and down. You'll just fall down if you try to do that. So what people try to do to keep their back straight up and down is they go down like this, right? So they're just dropping their hips and their knees go forward over the toes, and it's horrible for your knees, and it's just completely wrong altogether. So the second thing that I see, and this is more in women than men, but sometimes you see it in men too, and that is that the knees will come in. So as you're going down, the knees will come in like this. That's generally from weakness in the hip stabilizer muscles. So really, you want to focus, if that is happening, and you can have somebody look at you doing it and see if it's happening. But if that's happening, just focus on keeping your knees out as you go down and come back up. Eventually, the muscles will get the idea. They'll start to function. You just have to make them function. You have to think about it at first, and for some people. Okay, so that's it. That's the squat. It's a very simple exercise, and everybody should be able to do it. And I have a theory actually on this. I have a theory that in countries where they sleep on the floor and they poop in a hole, that they don't break hips. They don't have the same problems that we have because they're squatting all the time. They have to squat to get on their bed, have to squat to go to the bathroom, and yeah, they have healthier hips and backs than we do. Okay, so you should do this squat. You should squat every day. The most important thing is form and full range of motion. Form and full range of motion. You can add weight later if you want. It's not necessary, but a lot of times I'll see people at the gym that are squatting. They have horrible form and they have hardly any range of motion, and they really should just drop the weight and work on their form, but they don't pay me to tell them that, so I usually don't. Okay, so now here's a disclaimer. And this goes for every exercise that you ever do, but especially for squatting. It should not be painful. That's not to say that you won't be sore tomorrow when you start doing it, but it should not be painful when you're doing it. If it is painful when you're doing it, you need to get into the office so that we can evaluate you and see if something is going on, if there's something that we can do to correct, which usually we can. We can do that, make those corrections, and then get you squatting so that you can experience all of the benefits of squatting on a regular basis. Okay, so let's see. Let me say one other thing. If you're having any problems, we would love to help you. If you're having problems, pain or stiffness in your hips and low back, or maybe your neck and shoulders, we would love to see you. So give me a call at 417-598-0080. We'll get you on a schedule, like usually within 24, 48 hours, and we'll take great care of you. Okay, this is Dr. Tim St. Onge with Thrive Chiropractic in Branson, Missouri. Make it a great day. Thank you. Have a great day.